Hello, my name is Sean McCarthy, and this is the presentation I gave at the EARMA Conference in Denmark in 2024. It's about 40 years of European research management. And what I'm looking at here is the origins of European research, how it has evolved from Framework 1 to Framework 10, and how the job of the research manager has changed during that time. Now, let's look at the origins. The whole process started in the Treaty of Rome in 1957. 6 countries came together and they set up something called the European Economic Community. And they worked together for a number of years. And in 1973, 3 new countries joined: Ireland, Denmark, and the UK. But something else happened in 1973. With a major oil crisis, the price of oil went up in price by a factor of 10, and it caused chaos all over the world. So the countries of the European Economic Community started working together, looking at ways of increasing energy efficiency, looking at renewable energies like wind energy and photovoltaics. And it was the first time they'd come together looking at these kind of problems. And then they started to broaden the areas they worked together with and decided to have a program devoted to European research, doing things at European level, to complement what they were doing at national level. And today, programs are still going. We're on Framework 9, soon moving in at Framework 10. I was involved in 1980, September 1980, I got involved in a renewable energy project in Ireland. And over the following decade and a half, I was involved in many proposals, many projects, coordinated 16. And in 1995, we moved into training European researchers, and we've given our courses in 78 of the top 100 universities in Europe. So I've been involved in the whole world of European research over a period of actually 44 years. Now, let's see how the programs have evolved. Now, at the beginning, the programs were 4-year programs, and the budget was less than 1% of the whole European budget. So it barely came up on the radar. And it grew a little bit, but the programs were 4-year programs, and the financial cycle in Europe is 7 years. So what happened in Framework 7 is they changed the program to become a 7-year program. And we can see then that the budgets increased. Now, when you talk about 100 billion, that comes up on the radar of national governments, but something else happened. The number of countries in the European Economic Community and subsequently the EU started to grow. So even though the budgets were going up, the number of countries and organizations participating was also going up. Now, when you look at any research program, you must look at the rules and you must look at the content. So we'll first look at the evolution of the rules. Now, at the beginning, they were using, if you're getting a research project, you got the same forums if you're building a bridge or a road. So after the first programs, they added in special clauses for research. Next program, more special clauses. So it was chaotic from a management point of view. But in Framework 7, they said, okay, let's add 40 special clauses and set it at that. So can you see what's happening since then? The rules have stabilized. So when the Commission talks about simplicity or simplification, they're talking about consistency. That once you learn the rules, they stay the same. So that was one of the major developments over the last number of years. But if we look at the content, the type of research that's being done in the programs, there's 2 ways to look at this. At the beginning, the research was focusing on laboratory, trying out solving problems, trying out new technologies, kind of TRL3 up to about TRL6. In Framework 7, they added something called frontier research, which allowed researchers to do some fundamental research. And of course, then in Horizon 2020, that becomes the ERC program. On the other side, they also wanted to have more innovative outputs. So they introduced a program called EIC. And in Horizon Europe, then you had Pillar 1 focusing on excellent science and Pillar 3 focusing on innovation. But something new happened in Horizon Europe. They wanted more synergies with other European programs. And this will continue in Framework 10, but we're now also looking at synergies within the program. So can you see that the role of the support staff has also increased? So you can't specialize in everything. You either specialize in ERC, Pillar 2, EIC. So let's look at why these rules are, why this content is expanding. At the beginning, it was looking at technical problems. Then in 1995, there was a very important book called The Green Paper on Innovation. And in 2003, Mr. Henry Chesborough published a book called Open Innovation, and this became the Bible for most companies around the world. So that put innovation firmly on the agenda, and with that, impact. Then we had the European Research Area concept, and that wanted more links between national funding and European funding. Then with the financial crisis in 2008, and of course the response was, how could research and innovation address economic recovery? Now, Lund, during the Swedish presidency in the Lund Declaration, they said, let Europe focus on grand challenges, grand long-term challenges, because national governments seem to be focusing more on short-term challenges. And then along came the ideal grand challenges, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, 17 goals. And then the focus was on how can we use European research to address these particular goals. Now, the Prime Minister's European Council said, we need more coordination between all the different programs if we want to address these challenges. So that's where the concept of synergies between programs came from. Now, there's a very important piece of legislation in 2015 called the Better Regulation Agenda that the policymakers said, if we want to make better legislation, we need evidence-informed decision-making. In other words, it gave an opportunity to scientists to have an input to the whole debate. So that's why the whole focus on evidence-based policymaking became such a big issue. Then, of course, with COVID and the response, the global resilience became a big issue. And then we have all these wars and putting a focus on Europe being more autonomous and not depending on outside countries. Now, I could have doubled the size of this table. But you can see how political priorities influence the design of the programs. So what does this mean for research managers? Now, always there's a need for support of the rules. But the good news, as I said, is the rules have stabilized. But from about Framework 7 on, the number of organizations participating increased. So there was a need to develop skills to write what we call competitive proposals. The role of research on European policies became important. So understanding the background to the programs increased. And more researchers were participating in the decision-making process of programs. So this increased. But what's the future? The future is about real impact, where the science is having a real impact on policies, on legislation, and so on. Now, a lot of support staff will look at this list and say, oh my God, our role is increasing. No, it's not getting more complex. It's getting more interesting. But it means that you have to structure your support services to deal with all these different dimensions. So, I hope you enjoyed that. And if any of you want to follow me on LinkedIn, you can do it there. So thank you very much for listening.